everything's going well in your household, everything's going pretty good. All right, here is the deal. Here, we're going to start introducing a lot of different things. We got a couple games in, a couple routines, couple relays, things like that, some exercises before you get some exercise in, but you guys at home have not. And since we can't get you here, we want to at least make sure that you're exposed to these things and get you some understanding of the types of activities that we're doing. And today, as you may know or be able to tell from the balls we have with us, we're going to teach you a little something about the war ball. So, saying that to say, in class here we're going to do some war ball, and we're going to have everything rolling. But you at home, you can't be here with us, but we're going to get you the rules and regulations. First things first, 2 teams playing against each other here. 2 teams playing against each other. Now, we usually play in the gym, on the basketball court, or in the cafeteria. And the way it works is like such. Okay? Similar to a bunch of different sports and rules that come in, the goal is to knock down a target. Knock down a target. Okay? So, we usually have the basket in the gym, or if you're in the cafeteria, we have an object. Sometimes it's a football, sometimes it's a cone with a frisbee. It changes to make it complex. The ultimate goal is to knock down that target or sink a basket. Okay, so if we come up, you knock down the target for the other team.
Game over!
Game over. Your team wins. But that would be too easy if everyone could just have 100 balls and taking shots. So, as a rule of attrition, you got 2 teams going. All right? We're moving around here. You got a ball. If you hit a member of the opposing team with the ball, they are out. So, they'd have to go sit on the sideline in a row on their side and line up in a straight line and make sure that they are there until the time comes for them to come back in the game. Now,
How did they come back in the game?
it's a great question. How do they come back in the game? Well, if Mr. Mitchell is on Mr. Mornhimmick's team and I am on Mr. Shoemake's own team, and I'm going, and I'm going, and I'm going, and I'm going, and well, then he would be out. He got the ball. But I catch the ball he throws, all right, he'd be out too. But if he catches the ball I throw, he caught a ball I threw, not only would I be out, but someone on his team will now get to come back in because he caught my ball. All right? So that's 2 people at a time come back in. But there's one caveat for this rule here. All right? If I have 10, 15 people out, it's only 2 in for this blue ball, for any ball. Except for the red ball. Mr. Mornhimmick, you want to explain about the red ball?
The red ball is what we call the hot ball. It does everything every other ball does and then some. So, if I were to throw this ball, and I'm on the opposite team of Mr. Shoemake, and I throw it, and he catches it, I'm out, but also his reward for catching the hot ball is his whole entire team. Anyone who's out gets to get up and come in.
All in!
It's really a game changer.
Absolutely.
It can change a game, especially because most of the time we time those games in 2 minutes. So you could be behind by 8 or 10, 12, 15 people out. He catches the red ball, everyone comes in, and then boom, the game ends on time.
Now, what happens when people are afraid to throw the red ball and they roll it?
Makes me sick.
It's sad.
Now, you got to have the courage, people, and this is about using your strategy here. I have the red ball. Now, my arm's decent. It's not the best in the world. It's definitely not the worst in the world, but I got a pretty confident in my arm. Some of you guys maybe don't play sports where you throw regularly. Okay? Some of you guys probably play sports where you throw regularly all the time. If you know you're not the best thrower in the world, you got 2 options. You can hand the red ball to someone with the cannon. That's teamwork. Or you can throw it, but I don't want him to catch it. So instead of throwing a rainbow of a lollipop where it goes kind of in the air, all right, I want to throw it and maybe try to go low.
Go low!
If I miss, he can't catch it. All right?
feet.
Just to catch with your feet. All right? In the rare occasion, I have seen this one before, where it hits someone's foot and bounces in the air, and then they catch it. Technically, it didn't hit the ground. And that's a whammy. But if the original statement, you are afraid to throw the ball, and this happens sometimes, people quote unquote chicken out, and then they roll the ball back over because they're afraid to throw it, we will stop the game. And that too is the equivalent of an all in for the other team. So, no rolling the red ball. You got to have the courage to get in there. Now, here's something that you guys don't do, and I'm mystified as to why some of you guys don't do it. The rule is you have to throw it, and it has to leave your hands before it hits somebody. But sometimes I see other balls on one side. You got the red ball, you got blue balls, whatever. You're running, all right? I can run by and throw. Now, Mr. Moore-Higgins not paying attention. All right? I'm here just a little.
No.
He's out. Underhand toss right to his side. All right, little misdirection, little strategy. There's a strategy to this bad boy.
I love the strategy of like 5 guys on the same team. All of them have a ball, and all of them run up and throw it at the exact same time.
Yep,
Don't see that very often either.
Yep, get some strategy. Now, here's one thing that I saw, and this was beautiful. This is the best floorball thing I've seen probably in my time. All right? Now, we got 15 people on one team, 1 guy on the other team. All the balls, because he's dodging balls, or she's dodging balls, happen to be a he this time, are against the wall. So you can't cross a certain area called the cone line. All right? The cone line is in the cafeteria of the gym. So I'm here, Mr. Moore-Higgins throwing at me, I'm on the wall, I'm ducking, I'm dodging, woo, I'm like the Matrix out here. Now I got all the balls. They don't have a single ball. All right? This was the best strategy I saw. We're going to shorten the court so you can see it on the camera, so I might ask Mr. Moore-Higgins to stand right here. In the cafeteria, it's a little different than the gym because it's a small area, so we have one additional cafeteria-only rule. The red ball in the cafeteria, if you hit someone with it, you can also get 2 in for your team. Now, keeping that in mind, in this game, particular cafeteria war ball, the person grabbed both red balls, he ran like he was attacking someone down here, and there was someone just not paying attention. So, face that way for him if you will. He ran by, he faked it, he ran back, and look, it's got to leave your hand, that's the only rule. Boom, caught it, caught the ball again. 1 person out, 2 person in first team.
And he's still got the ball.
Boom, 2 for his team. Boom, 2 for his team. So, in a matter of about 5 seconds, he had 4 or 5 people on the other team, and then he had 10 people on his team come back in. And they had the balls on their side. You talk about turning the tide, there it is right there. So, saying that to say, the rules of war ball, very straightforward, all right? It's a mix of dodgeball, basketball, use your baseball skills, use your football skills, all right? Teamwork.
Strategy.
Is the key. Strategy is the key. Now, one thing that drives me nuts, all right? Let's have Mr. Moore-Higgins and I stand up more, please. Just regular. That's fine, just like that. We're here. Mr. Moore-Higgins, don't move a muscle. No matter what happens, don't move a muscle. Can you catch the ball with your arms at your side? Absolutely not. So, you should have your hands ready to catch as you're moving around. That way, if I turn and look, and the ball comes, I'm ready to catch the ball. I'm ready to go. All right?
And how about those people when they see a little softy being thrown at them, and instead of trying to catch it, they duck.
Oh boy, now this happens too here, all right? Some of us have good enough, some of us don't, so you get the rainbow. But instead of catching this big, juicy, grapefruit ball, you move out of the way because you don't want to get hit. You just saved the other team from having 1 person down, 2 people coming in, all right? Don't be afraid to grab the ball and go, all right? We got 2 teams going head to head. All the balls start in the middle. Run out, grab a ball, right? Either get someone out or go ahead and go. Now, the gym, when we use the basketball, the war ball doesn't go in the basket. There is either a basketball or usually 99.99999% of the time we use the blue pogo balls.
Yeah, the playground balls, the big bouncy ones, the ones that are filled and it's really hard to make a 3.
Yeah. So, that being said, that is the game of war ball. Well, that's what we'll be playing. And I gotta tell you, boy, oh boy, oh boy. you were here with us, but we want you to know the rules of the game and the exposure, especially you 7th graders, because next year in 8th grade, you'll be back in here on the ball. You 8th graders got to play it last year in 7th grade, and hopefully we get at least one more in before you disappear on us. But that is the game of war ball, and it's all about going to war with your classes. We love it.
Oh, I miss those kids, like when the game is over. And remember, the losing team, depending on how many points you lost by, we multiply that by 10 usually, and make you do some sort of exercise. Push-ups, jumping jacks, whatever. And everyone counts it out in the gym. And then we say, winners, go! And the winners are screaming at the top of their lungs, and they're screaming into the locker room. And those were the good old days. It is so quiet around here right now.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get it going, baby. We're getting it going pretty soon. Yeah.
It is exciting. Guys, favorite teacher ever and why? Let me start. My favorite teacher ever, Joe Tranquina. When I was getting my credential for PE, he was low on teaching philosophy and high on teaching practice. He said, Brad, leave the room. I left the room. Now, these were all my peers, adults, other adults who are going to become teachers. And then he said, I'll call you back in about 5 minutes. Walked in back in 5 minutes. And he had said, okay, Thomas and Sean, you're going to be the troublemakers in class. You two pass notes and talk. And then there was another girl who was trying to get on the phone on the wall. He set all these difficult situations up for me to come in, and he wanted to see how I handled it. The best class I ever had. Not a lot of book work, but practical work. I'll never forget that guy, Joe Tranquina. Mr. Shoemaker, how about you? Best teacher and why?
You know, I look at that in 2 methods of what stands out. And this is what I think. First and foremost, if I were thinking just from what I learned, from a pure teaching standpoint, there was a teacher in college that taught math, and however he taught it, it just worked for me. And I took him for 4 years for 4 semesters rather, until he no longer taught at the highest level of where the math was. And I like to learn, but a lot of times math can be a little bit, now I'm not saying I'm stupid, that's not what I'm saying. Just saying it's not really interesting to me in the fact of when it's just strictly numbers and you're going right out of the book. So he had a way of taking the mathematical problems and applying real world aspects to them to make you understand how they work in the real world. So we learned not only just a function, but how it was applied, and that was great. But I have to say, probably the teacher that stands out to me the most out of my childhood, my elementary and secondary education, was a man who was here and actually was Mr. Mitchell's, I guess you call it mentor teacher when he first started here, a man by the name of Mr. Scullion.
I'm Scullion.
And Mr. Scullion was here. Mr. Scullion was the first teacher I ever had that was really relational with the students. He was very, very, very into teaching the material, but he taught us like we were people. It wasn't like we were just robots and sheep. And he made a subject that I love, history and geography. He made it just that much more interesting. And I used to look forward every day to going to Mr. Scullion's class. So Mr. Scullion, right here at Bret Harte Middle School, was probably my favorite teacher of my education.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah, I love Mike. Great guy.
Great guy.
Great guy. Great guy. I had this conversation with you guys a long time ago, and I don't even know if you guys remember when I had this, but I talked about my woodshop teacher, Mr. George Davis, who, you're in woodshop, and he had a lot of wood, and so he used to make paddles. And he made these huge paddles, and he named these paddles, like Wisdom, which was a short one, because it was only 6 letters. And then he'd have long paddles, like Knowledge. And then even longer ones, like Understanding. And he'd take those paddles, and he would look at you if he was screwing around in his woodshop. And you're not supposed to screw around in a woodshop. You got bandsaws, you got all kinds of stuff to lose a finger. And he'd look at you, and if he was screwing around, he'd just stop the class, and he'd say, hey, Mr. Mitchell, I think you need a little wisdom. And he'd have to go up, and he'd take that paddle, and this is the old days. Oh, my goodness. The old days. And he'd back you right on the butt with that paddle. And he'd say, cut that out. You're going to get hurt. And then you'd go back to what you were doing. Now, it's funny. You'd say, well, you like that guy? That guy taught me HR squared. This is the first time I had a teacher who really cared about integrity and understanding the things that are really, really important growing up. And so, honesty, respect, responsibility. This guy lived it, and he passed it on to me. And I still remember that guy, and I still remember the lessons he taught me. So I'm going with Mr. George Davis, my 7th grade woodshop teacher.
Well, you two guys would probably need the understanding SWAT thing because both of you backsides are wide and lows. Let's move on, guys.
You need the knowledge, my friend.
A long one, a wide one. All right. So, Sports Factor, what do you got for us today?
All right, I'm going back to boxing again. I mean, we talked about the great Andre Ward last time. Prior to Oakland, Andre Ward. All right. So, I'm going to ask you now. This boxer was also undefeated, and he was a fighter out of New York. And this boxer was in the 40s, 50s, and his initials were RM. Woo! Who was that boxer from the 40s and 50s that was also fought? I'm not sure. 60, 58 and 0? What was his final record?
49 and 0.
49 and 0. Who was that boxer?
Jolly Geographer.
Well, geographer's full of geography.
Bringing over.
Bringing it over. So, this fighter that he's talking about did fight in New York, fight out of New York. That was the capital of boxing at the time, Madison Square Garden. But he was born in Brockton, Massachusetts.
That's right.
Right, Brockton, Massachusetts, the Brockton blockbuster. Now, here's a question I have for you, because boxing is indeed my favorite sport. What city is the Boxing Hall of Fame in?
Nice. Nice. Got some good questions. And guys, while we're doing the video, we want you to be looking these answers up. We want the answers for these things. How do you throw a space party?
Ah,
How do you throw a space party?
I said how?
You plan it. Guys, quick principle before I let you go. When you're older, you're going to do one of two things. And we kind of learned from, I would say, all of our people we mentioned for the best teacher ever, they figured it out. So you're going to do one of two things. The people we talked about with a ladder of these two things I'm going to mention. When you get older, you're going to do one of two things. One, you're going to either be an overgrown child, or you're going to be an HR squared adult. So, you guys probably know overgrown children. They have adult bodies. They might be 30, 40, or 50, but they make excuses, they whine, they complain. They're just an overgrown child. Or, you be responsible, respectful, and honest, like the men we were talking about, or women we were talking about, people who have figured it out. So, you're one of two things, an overgrown child or an HR squared adult. Be honest, respectful, and responsible. Those three things. Reminds me of a song. Those three things. Whoa! I was just getting hot with that one, Mr. Shoemaker.
What are we doing here?
Oh, we're still building healthy relationships.
What's the purpose of our
HR squared.
honesty, respect, responsibility. We hope to see you soon. We hope you're doing well. Always, you're at home with your own charge in your own world. Be respectful, be honest, be responsible. Be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. Keep on pushing. Push on 3, 1, 2, 3, push!